Hey, what's cracking, gang? Green Jets Nation was good. Um, Part two, I suppose, to the New York Jets training camp outlook. Today, I want to kind of run through thoughts on the running back position. So, there's a number of interesting things going on. It seems like we have a lot more backs this time around that actually fit the mold and the expectation of what the offense may be and supposed to look and run like, right? Um, Adam Gase was just such a really weird era because I really don't know what the offense was necessarily supposed to be, right? It wasn't a spread. It didn't really feel like a West Coast. We weren't taking just numerous shots downfield. I can't really call out any specific principles or even remember any like game day footage, conversations, even from fan and pro personnel regarding what exactly this offense was supposed to be. Whatever Gase envisioned definitely never came to fruition. Now, part of that, again, not completely on him, but he did have a lot more say in personnel, I would say, before we get into things than any other coach that I remember, other than potentially Rex Ryan. But then again, that was kind of like a Tannenbaum Ryan combination there. Adam Gase, for a period of time, actually, essentially ran things himself. Um, and Joe Douglas pretty much gave him every opportunity, let's say the last year and a half of his tenure, um, to kind of do whatever it is that he wanted to do. So, there were no excuses when I feel like the coach team as a whole, especially coaching department, never really knew that, they were walking out the door. Jumping into things, though, in the actual running back position. So, five players essentially in play at the moment. So we have Tevin Coleman. He's the newest addition during the offseason. We know what his workload has looked like between the Atlanta Falcons and then the 49ers. He's been a pretty good, I would say, do it all back. Definitely a good receiving capability. He had a lot of opportunities to kind of break plays for that like 10 to 15 intermediate big play kind of yardage, but he definitely has a bit of home run ability there. Um, I think Tevin Coleman, we know it's going to be running back by committee unless somebody really just kind of breaks free, and does something maybe unexpected for how we see things playing out. I would hope that to be the case. I'm definitely more of a fan of having a bell cow back and then kind of having that second, third guy that either offers something different or that's really good at spelling him. Kind of like what the Chargers used to have. I really kind of like their 1-2 setup. They definitely had a potential star at that backup position for him. But Tevin Coleman, I think he'll be a significant contributor, right? Michael Carter is the other guy. So he's the rookie, fourth round pick. He's really was expected to go maybe like second, third round. He was part of that 1-2 punch there at UNC. So I think I'm expecting big things from him, depending on what he actually ends up doing in his rotation. I think he'll be a heavy part of it too. So I would imagine things are trending to look like Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman at 1 and 2. That could be vice versa, of course, but I think at least just the way mini camps and stuff ended, that kind of is based on commentary and things that I've heard. That seems to kind of be the expectation a bit. I wouldn't be mad either way, but the fresher legs definitely helps us out. Um, Michael Carter, I don't really know. Training camp is going to be like the first real look, pads on, kind of seeing how he does with contact and stuff. I've heard about his elusiveness. I don't know how he actually handles, breaking tackles per se in a heads up situation, but we did hear about some of the stories between him and the non-identical Michael Carter on the defensive side. So some won battles, some lost battles, as expected at the running back position. But I think he has that explosion that we've lacked at that position for a while. I really enjoyed Bilal Powell's days. I felt like he was underutilized in the Ryan regime. Of course, we had, like the LTs and stuff. A lot of our really productive years from the running back position came from veteran talent, coming over from other franchises. This will be the first chance, I think, where we'd have a homegrown talent that actually has a significant chance to have a role. and essentially do what I think Bilal Powell could have did if he had the opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to things with him. The interesting thing with how the top three positions play out is we know that they're all definitely getting snaps. They're all running. I've seen a really interesting breakdown, just kind of running through Bleacher Report when I couldn't sleep a few days ago, and it kind of gave us a bit of a history and insight into how the 49ers essentially utilized all of their running backs. So it's definitely more than enough work to go around if the offense is running like it should be. That third position is interesting because no matter how you shake it, we have, potential starter to starter level talent that would be taking the field. At least that's the expectation, right? We'll see how the actual performance and on-field product plays out. But at that third position, I would have to say, at least based on last year's results, I would give it to it's Ty Johnson. Excuse me. Yes, Ty Johnson. He had the 100-yard game, 100-plus yard game for us. I want to say he had two, actually. If not, then the other game he was close, maybe like 89 yards or something like that. But he stepped in. He did really, really well. I actually didn't know, I wasn't expecting the offense from a running position at all to be effective in any kind of situation last year. I know we had Mekhi Becton, but, to be honest, it didn't feel like we really ran behind him quite a bit. So Ty Johnson definitely took advantage of, trying to open some eyes. And he definitely did, giving, Becton started having some of those injury woes towards the end of the season. And who else on the offense can you really point out and say, that they were dominant or at least didn't look like they were a problem on the offense, right? So Ty Johnson, definitely a lot more explosive than we imagined. I think his vision was definitely a lot better. I think the way he hit the holes was definitely different from what we were getting from Frank Gore and LaMichael Perrine, which we'll get into. But I think he could be the third running back. If we're doing running back by committee, technically 1, 2, 3 positions don't necessarily matter. But still, I think he could be essentially the third running back in that rotation. And he could probably come in and still be pretty dominant. Josh Adams, I think, is like poor man's Ty Johnson, maybe. Josh Adams, I know, has some pretty solid physical capabilities from like a running position. If I remember, he had one of the faster 40s potentially out of the running backs we had on the roster. But he's had a really weird situation with the Eagles where I felt like he had somewhat of decent, preseasons. I think I remember him getting some actual regular season snaps and, nothing that stood out crazy, like a Ty Johnson where we had a 100-yard game, smacked in there somewhere or anything like that. But we know that the way the Eagles utilize their running backs, there's a lot of like pistol formations, some like oddities and like the shotgun kind of snaps and stuff that they were taking for him. Maybe not the best fit, but he did seem to be an effective duo with Ty Johnson, so I think he has a very good chance of making the roster as well. Leading into our fifth guy, LaMichael Perrine, this is where things are... I think this is where people become a little bit more skeptical. LaMichael Perrine didn't flash in any aspect last year, right? I think his skill set, again, we don't know what Gates' offense really should have been like, in my opinion. So we can't say, did he actually fit? Did he not? Because everything was pretty much a mess. Leading into what we know is now going to be, a West Coast kind of offense with LaFleur, he doesn't necessarily fit from, the classical standpoint, but we've seen players that have different, physical archetypes or, running styles that can make that jump or that transition into whatever the scheme may be and require, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen for LaMichael Perrine definitively. What I am going to say is we know they pretty much burnt Frank Gore into the ground last season, right? Adam Gase probably just, helping his friend out on his way out the door. LaMichael Perrine, kind of learning, kind of watching, I kind of envisioned that more of like the quarterback situation where, Sam Darnold sat for a little bit. We brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. We let him do his thing. Sam Darnold came back. He wowed a bit, right? We didn't get that wow factor from LaMichael Perrine, but again, there's a lot of things that didn't work in his favor in that offense and just the situation as a whole. Potentially more snaps could have helped him out, but I can also see the standpoint of, okay, let's say we've given you 20 snaps, you've only produced 64 yards, or something to that effect, right? So we know that you didn't make the most of the, few opportunities we given, and that's really kind of what every player needs to do when they do have that opportunity. So I can't necessarily blame them. I think now that we're in training camp, though, we didn't hear a lot about Perine during the mini camps and stuff like that. This is his chance to shine. He's the most physical, I would say, potentially of the running backs that we have on the roster, from that power back standpoint. So this may be the opportunity where you can say, like, hey, I can handle these goal line packages. I can handle the 3rd and 2s, 4th and 1s, whatever the case is, when we still want to try to keep the offense in movement. And maybe we just carve out a really specialized role for him, right? I'm not saying that he's going to have, 150 snaps on the season, but there's definitely something to say about a running back that can come in and he's going to capitalize in these situations. It's the same thing that we see on defense all the time, with, edge players, anybody on the line, really solid linebackers where they know they're not going to have 80% of the team snaps. They know they'll probably be in that 40 to 60% range, but they know that all of their opportunities are coming at something they specialize at, right? Either run stopping or rushing the passer. So I think LaMichael Perine, if he's going to attempt to really push and try to make this roster in, whatever capacity it is, but I think it really would be a specialized role like that. This is time to shine. So I'm hoping we hear something, early and often, potentially, for Perine, because again, we only drafted him last year, so he's finally getting a full off season. It's only his 2nd year. It's really early to say that somebody's just not capable of playing in the league. You don't really see that very, very often. But the leash that he's going to have, I would have to imagine, is pretty short. Tevin Coleman, Michael Carter definitely have to be locks, right? We just brought them in or drafted them. Again, Josh Adams' potential, I would say, is still fairly high. Ty Johnson, definitely personally like him a little bit, just the way he was able to produce and, give himself a very advantageous look. And then ultimately, we have LaMichael Perine, who, not a lot of positivity in this situation, but we've seen people that have bad situations and excel and, flourish before. So that's kind of my hopes and expectations for him. I think the unit as a whole, I wouldn't say it's too far out of the way to maybe say we have 3 potential running backs that can gain, maybe 5 to 650-ish yards on the season. I think Carter is the one that I predict to have the most amount of touchdowns just overall. I think he might be a little bit more surprising in the receiving game, maybe than we'd expect, because we know Tevin Coleman would probably fill that role. And I think that his explosion, particularly when we get in that 30-yard from a touchdown range, so not quite red zone, but I think once we get in that kind of shorter yardage distance, maybe his explosion can work to his advantage there, just a bit. So those are my thoughts. Let me know who you guys think may make the roster. Maybe there's a surprise addition that comes up. If they do see that, maybe a Josh Adams and a LaMichael Perine aren't working out, maybe there's somebody else, out there that we could potentially take advantage of. I can't remember his name because I did want to bring it up when I was talking about the Chargers situation, but somebody like the backup that used to be there, he was just starting. I'm really upset that I'm forgetting the name. It'll come back to me, but let me know who you guys think may or may not make the roster, and training camp's right around the corner. I'm super excited. I want to get the rest of these videos out before it starts. I doubt that'll happen, but maybe 2 a days or something like that. Either way, though, I think we have a lot to look forward to. I can't wait to start hearing, some of the news that comes out of training camp and really seeing who we think are going to be these star players of the team, because this is the most exciting and the most potent offense that I think that we've had since Chad Pennington was throwing bombs, maybe Vinny Testaverde. So there is definitely a lot of hype for this season, and I'm hoping to maybe see a game or 2 if things allow for it. But with that said, again, drop your comments. Looking forward to things, and I hope you guys all enjoy a good one. Peace.